Hey guys, welcome back to our Real Estate Insight. Today, we're just going to talk about what happens when you sell a property, right? Are you attached to the property? Do you still own to the property? And again, laws are different in every state, okay? So make sure that you abide by the laws. We're going to talk about New York in particular. There's two things that we want to say up front is that when you are signing a contract with any realtor, there's going to be two types of form that they're going to send you, which is going to be a seller disclosure form, okay? And in New York, they have an option to pay the $500 and say, a buyer beware that you could go ahead and do any kind of test on the property, but we're going to give you $500 back. And when we give you that $500 back, that you have done all your tests and you're going to buy the property as is, as a sense of that if something goes wrong, the roof falls tomorrow, or we had a problem where the gas leak happened, again, it's the current buyer's responsibility after the closing. So make sure that you do that. Make sure you guys get insurance. I think that's probably the number one takeaway right now. I don't care if you're buying a cash deal. I've been saying that. I had some deals in the pipeline where people will buy cash. Guess what? They didn't have insurance, and insurance is not going to cover anything. So make sure that you have insurance. Mortgage will not really, they will not close on the deal unless you don't have insurance. But then in different states, you have to disclose certain things or you select unknown. And if your agent have access to this, should have access to this, especially like in Connecticut, I'm here in the Carolinas, they have to get that from the listing agent and they have to deliver that to you. You get 10 days or you get the right to do any kind of inspections that you want. So let's just talk about what happens, right? I mean, we're going to particularly focus in New York. Now, we have some scenarios, Kavita and George, that where clients will call us back. Hey, I just closed. There's a pipeline that just busted. I still remember that call that we had. Hey, the roof is 50 years old and we need a new roof. Hey, there's a water pump, a backup leak that's happening. And I'm talking particularly to that's out there. And recently I just had someone say, hey, listen, my past buyer who's currently a seller who's selling the property had a leak in the oil tank. And what should I do? So let's quickly talk about this and reassure people again, consult your attorney, consult your realtor. Again, we're just giving you our personal opinion on how to tackle this and how to go about this. Anybody has anything to say about that?
I think, yes, definitely consult your attorney, right?
Yeah.
As a homeowner, when you are in process of selling, it is important for you to have a clear understanding of what that $500 credit to buyer, what does that mean exactly, right? So let's give a little example over here. So Rummy and I, we actually had a seller a couple of years ago. Rummy, I don't know if you remember this, where it's an old home. We told the seller, like, hey, either you sign this disclosure and you give a $500 credit to the buyer who's purchasing this home, or you're going to have to fill out a packet. And basically this packet, you have to fill out what material was used, to construct the property, whether it was electrical, plumbing, construction, whatever it was, you need to spell it out. She went against our advice. She chose to fill out that information. And even her attorney was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because what does that mean? At the end of the day, listen, it just ensures that at the end of the day, after the closing happens, if the buyer comes to find out that's not exactly that was the material that was used, there might be some repercussions over there.
Because in that form, you're saying that. And again, it wasn't what we always encourage buyers and sellers, especially sellers, to do. You have a choice to do this and this, consult your attorney. This seller did not consult an attorney and they chose to fill it out. And that's perfectly okay. So what did happen was that there was a material or I think it was a backlog from the source system or something like that. Wow. And then again, because they didn't know about it because it's unknown, right? So if you don't know, you don't know. And that came back to bite us. So if you had that filled out, that will come back to bite you, right? And then secondly, there was another one that we had a gas leak. And again, it was not really the current seller's problem. I'm sorry, the current seller didn't know about it. It was more of a Con Ed issue, but Con Ed didn't want to cover it. But guess what? Because that was filled out, that buyer, hey, we're going to give you a credit, buyer beware, do all your inspections. And then what happened was the gas leak did happen. Thank God our inspector kind of chimed in and gave a credit too as well.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I don't want to scare off home buyers, right? Don't be scared because of these scenarios. However, what you will need to understand as a home buyer, especially in the state of New York, first of all, understand we're in the region that we live in. These homes at this point, they're over 60 years old.
Yes.
We don't have new construction like we do down in the Carolinas. Like, Rummy, you got new construction popping up like TikTok, right?
Yeah. Like TikTok
every
everywhere.
other day they're popping up. But in New York, we don't have new construction. I think the newest construction was at this point now about 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I've seen homes 300 years
yes,
old.
you are going to have homes that have passed through many different families and generations, and they have been remodeled and reconstructed through various different contractors. So yes, number one thing, as a buyer agent, I will tell all my buyers, do a home inspection. Do a home inspection. If you have septic, definitely do a septic inspection, right?
Mhm.
And then most, if you have a well, you have to do well water testing. And then of course, if it's an underground oil tank, by all means, there is no ifs or buts about it. You have to do an underground oil testing. Why? Well, hello, you don't want to close on a property and find out a day later or 2 days later, oh my God, my underground oil tank is leaking. Now it's an EPA violation. So now I got to spend money out of pocket right away just to clear that up.
Yep.
And again, as a new homeowner, that's not something that you want to deal with.
No, no one wants to work in that.
Exactly. Yes. Are there things that can go wrong the day you close on it, the next day that you close on it? Absolutely. I'll give you guys
What
my
do we say to
personal-
them? Welcome to
homeownership.
Welcome to homeownership. Yeah.
Listen, I'll give you my personal example. I bought my home back
Let's
in
not
2000.
scare everyone, guys. This is not
No.
a scary
let's not
moment
scare
for Real
you.
Estate
It's not.
Insight.
Do your due diligence. Speak to your attorneys. Everything we fine. Your realtor expert.
I bought my home, and I think a month into our homeownership, our AC unit like literally died on us, right? And it wasn't like an old unit. The unit was only like 5 years old at that point, but it died. It completely died on us. And middle of the night, we're like, okay, gotta get this replaced. Like,
Yeah.
it's not something that we ever thought about but it happened. It happened. You know, I've had buyers that'll call me back and they're like, oh my God, the garage door just working on us. And I'm like, welcome to homeownership. This is
Well,
what
I mean,
happened.
and that's, go ahead, George.
I was gonna say, we're not trying to scare anyone away from homeownership. It's just the reality and nuances of it, and so just got to keep that in mind when you're going out purchasing and speak to, like, again, we're gonna plug ourselves in, speak to your realtors, your experts, and your attorneys, everyone else, to get a good idea of what you gotta look out for and be aware of, and always inspect, please.
Well, and that's the difference, right? Do you have a realtor that's has the expertise in behind all this? Now, again, we do feel for a lot of the people that are out there, that was all the money that they spent to it. We always encourage, hey, have a cushion available, 5,000, 10,000 available that you're going to spend into a house. So have that ready available on the side, because that's going to really help you kind of say, hey, here is the what if bucket that we had. And again, kind of bring this together, guys, not to scare anyone. Home ownership is the most beautiful thing. And we always say that you're going to save money on, you're building equity, you're paying down your mortgage, you're actually saving on taxes. And the best thing about home ownership is going to be the experience that you're going to have with your family. Because again, that is something that I think, 50 plus and 50% of all Americans want to have, buy a house. That's an American dream. I know that was for my family. So let me just kind of close this up a little bit for sellers. Remember, you have two options: give a credit for $500 or fill out the seller's disclosure form. That's only in New York. In other states, you have to fill this out. Majority of the state, you have to fill this out. Ask that from your realtor if you're buying it, and your seller realtor should provide that to you or provide it to your agent. Number two, that goes for first time buy owners too as well. People are working before first time buy owners. There's so many pitfalls. That was my 2 cents. For the buyer side of it, again, when you're working with the buyer side, make sure that you are working with an expert, that if you get the $500 credit, right, because you have to sign off on that too as well, that you got the $500 credit, that you have the right to do any inspections that you want. Now, we understand in this market that there are some deals that you're gonna say, hey, no inspection. You could still do an inspection, but not contingent upon the inspection to come through.
Absolutely.
So you would be well aware of what you need to do, right? Because you want to get into something and you want to be well aware of it. You want to add this, Kavita?
No, absolutely. And I'll say, like, listen, to home buyers out there in this market that we're in and that we have been, I tell all my buyers, look, if we're taking away the home inspection contingency, we're still going to do a home inspection, and that is going to be your to-do list. Okay. So you can start budgeting and planning your projects for around the house. Use it as that.
All right.
So that is like a good guideline for you. So,
all right, guys.
absolutely.
Thank you again for everything. Another Real Estate Insight. Click on the buttons, see if you guys need any expertise. Again, we'll go. It doesn't matter if you're working with another realtor. We want to provide you expertise in this real estate purchases. More than 2 decades and plus of real estate experience, and almost more than $400 million in production already. So we got the experience for you to negotiate the best possible deal as well as sell your property. And we do give a 24 months guaranteed sale. So God forbid something does happen, that we'll guarantee to sell your house for free if you come through us, and you get another nice little free cruise. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.